Hey, this game just works. Like, no installation bullshit at all. Sometimes life is good. You can immediately see the improved graphics. Everything from texture detail, lighting and character models are way more detailed than before. You can see it right as you start the game. The characters actually look older now too, unlike in the second game, which I'm pretty sure they used the exact same models as in the first game. Something you'll find out while playing the game is that this game is definitely made for a new generation of hardware, since not only does everything look better, there's just also simply more going on at the screen at any given time. Talking about the start of the game actually. You don't start at the beginning of the book or the film, instead you start already on the Hogwarts Express. I understand that this is probably the case because the developers wouldn't have to make maps you only visit once or maybe twice, and that way they have more time and money to develop the meat of the game, to make it the best they could. And while the game does play really nicely, and at its core it's just a more refined version of the previous two games, it's only about 3 hours long, skipping over very important plot elements and exposition. If you haven't read the book or seen the film, I'm not even sure you would exactly understand what's going on at certain points. This also leads to the story being really one-dimensional, and rather than seeing the big picture, you just see major plot points from the perspective of Ron, Harry and Hermione, with no context. Sure, this could be an artistic choice, and a valid one at that. But if you're going to tell a story this one-dimensionally, you need to make sure that it's necessary and has a good amount of depth, which that's not the case here either. They didn't even have to come up with any new stuff. Both the book and the movie provide plenty of character development moments for all the characters, which are mostly left unused in this game. Then again, the game wasn't made for the story, right? If you're playing this game, you probably already know the story. You're just here to play as Harry and experience it all for yourself. And the short amount of time that you do spend with this game is quality time. Mostly. The first and most obvious change from the last game is that you don't just play as Harry. You cycle through Harry, Ron and Hermione, which all have a basic set of spells, taken right out of the last game, with some strange changes. You see, Flipendo doesn't exist anymore and has been replaced by the Pulso. The Pulso has the icon, which Ripto-Sempra had, and Ripto-Sempra now has gotten a new icon. And of course there's still Alhambra and Lumos and Spongify even. Then, since you have new characters, there's 3 new spells, or well, 4 new spells actually. You start by learning Carpe Retractum with Ron. Harry and Hermione can't use this spell at all, which takes a little bit of getting used to. Then Hermione learns Laproforce, which turns a small statue into a rabbit, and Draconoforce, which turns a statue into a living dragon. A small one, but still, a dragon. You see, these new spells are not just different words and different animations to get rid of a different kind of object, like most spells in the last game. They actually changed the gameplay style, making sure that Harry, Ron and Hermione all feel like their own character. Not just through the story, definitely not through the story, but mostly by making them feel unique and different from each other. That leaves Harry, which has the most boring spell, Glacius. It just freezes shit. Yes, it is rather boring, but you do get to slide an ice slide, which is nice, I guess. So the spell challenges are still a thing, and they're the exact same. You have to collect shields now instead of these weird stars. That's the only difference. Oh yeah, that reminds me, you also don't get house points for them anymore. Why? Because house points have been removed from the game altogether. They are mentioned once. They shouldn't have done that, because I didn't notice at all until they mentioned it, and then I figured, that's right, I haven't gotten any house points at all. The game is mostly what we know with some refinements, like there's more than one currency now for the Fred and George shop. There's of course still every flavoured beans, but there's now also pumpkin pasties and cauldron cakes, which both of those are worth significantly more. To finish the game you also need to complete all the minigames in Hogwarts, which there's just a couple of them, but you also need to buy all the secret passes from Fred and George. Unless you've done all of that, Dumbledore just won't let you go to the credits, like at all. Hogwarts also feels less like Hogwarts than ever before. Unlike in Chamber of Secrets, where the castle was filled with secrets, There's only a couple of secrets to be found in this version. The castle also generally feels much smaller than before. The game downright tells you to go explore more than once, but there's no real room for exploration because the maps are just too small. And while we're on the topic of not enough content, the final boss fight is Harry versus the Dementors. Of course it is. The first time you do this is to protect Sirius, you all know that. And then the second time, after using the time turner, the Dementors go aggro on future Harry, and you do the exact same fight again, only this time it's supposed to be a bit harder. Can you guess how much time is between these two fights? I'll tell you, about 10, maybe 15 minutes of game time. It's funny how a pretty decent book compared to the others and an amazing film compared to the others resulted in such a poor game compared to the others. I really hope that the general quality of the game gets its shit together for the Goblet of Fire, because that is one of my favourite films in the series. For now though, the couple of hours you can get out of this game are a decent amount of fun, but the game as a whole, it's just not that great.